with a we will finish things up with a trio of old school CIAA games. Your favorite variety, Chris. But I gotta hear
Yeah.
your favorite. So we'll start off with Big State, Little State. Big State being Virginia State University, and Little State being Norfolk State University. Obviously, we know what happened last year, Chris. Norfolk State found a way to lose this game. Virginia State found a way to win as they started off, I believe, 6-0. Was it 7-0? Yeah, and they looked like they were, going to be that team. Boat race them. What we saw last week, Virginia State offense wasn't super amazing, but they played. They won by 2 scores. Talk to me about that game, and do you think that what you saw out of Virginia State that feels like maybe they could have a chance to do this again?
Well, did Norfolk State play last week or no?
They did. They played East Carolina.
Oh, what was the score there? How did they do there?
I don't have the score for that game in front of me. I do just recall them playing against FAMU, and they seemed to play okay there.
Yeah,
Till the end. If you just go by what you saw in that game, they still don't trust their quarterback. I don't think to throw. They were able to really break off some great runs against Florida A&M. Do you think that there is a repeat in sight for VSU, or do you think that that difference is going to come back to bite them this year?
I think the thing that scares me a little bit about VSU right now is the run defense. Benedict was able to break off some pretty big runs, especially if you have a mobile quarterback like Trey Simmons, the transfer from who he was at Tusculum, then he went to McNeese, and now he's at Benedict, and he was able to get some good runs against VSU. So if Norfolk's got something like that in their bag, then hey, they might be able to do something. And so I'm curious to see the running back versus the defensive line, how that plays out, because if they don't have a pass game, the Norfolk's going to definitely have their hands full. VSU's got quite a bit of weapons. They got an experienced quarterback. They got a running back that seems that he's a workhorse. I was a little wondering if he could really hold up in that role, and so far so good. And they've got some weapons at wide receiver as well, and they got an experienced O-line. That recipe has been the recipe for VSU winning in this game over the years. Is when VSU is experienced and Norfolk State has a lot of questionable aspects that VSU it's close. It's always close, but they're able to pull it off in the end. So this is one.
Is there a doom alert for this game?
Yeah, I would say so. I think Norfolk's got their. I think they've got their hands full here. I really do.
Give it to me. I need it. I need it, Chris.
It's a doom alert here. It's a whole doom alert here. Absolutely.
All right. And then we'll go across the bay elsewhere in the 757. We will go to Hampton, to Venerable Armstrong Stadium, to two of the programs who have two of the oldest, most venerable stadiums in all of HBCU football and all of college football. Virginia Union, Hampton University. This is a rivalry that goes back. These are two founding members of the CIAA way back when Hampton was the Institute. Two private schools in Virginia had a fierce rivalry for a long time. And then, Union for a long time was the better team in this matchup for 50 plus years. Then Hampton goes and gets Virginia Union's head coach and takes him to Hampton and goes D1, and history is written again. 2019, Chris, we saw these two teams match up, and early in the Dr. Alvin Parker era. And great running team, horrible defense. And we saw Virginia Union come out with a win with Tobias Taylor and those guys. Chris, how are you feeling? I mean, you saw these guys up close and personal last year. You saw them up close and personal last week. You saw their linemen on both sides, which are always a strength. What are your thoughts on this game? And could we possibly have a rare double doom alert this week?
Well, Virginia Union really came out, and once they settled down with R.J. Rosales, they were able to do some things in the passing game, and so the one that really stands out about VUU is how deep they are on the offensive and the defensive line. They're deep on the offensive line. They're deeper on the defensive line. And so do they have chances? Yes, they got a stable running backs that can wear you down, and they've got the guys to run with it. And yes, I do think that Hampton legit can go 0-2. I think that this is also a doom alert. I think
doom
so.
alert.
I think so. I think so.
Fire of that double doom alert because this is rare. So
yeah.
And I will also give them this. They have played against top D2 competition over the last couple of years. They played in the playoffs, and like I know some of those top D2 teams, for sure are definitely comparable to FCS teams. Kind of at the bottom. And so, I see a lot of similarities between that team and this team. Obviously, Jada Byers and I think what did Wiley call him? Strictly Business. Tobias Taylor. They're different type of backs, but both of those guys can run that rock, and they can go ahead and go undefeated, and they can got breakaway speed. And I think again, the key is if the Union has a passing game, they can really do something. You know what, Cove? Do you feel like coming up and talking because you saw those two teams play this year? Are you able to come up and give us a little bit? Because you saw Hampton last week. Are you good to go?
What's up, party people? How's everything going?
Right. Yeah. He is a real person. He's not AI. Don't let him fool you.
So it's I wasn't ready for this, but the thing that we have to see is if they can handle Hampton's running game. If their D-line can handle Hampton's running game and get the offense back on the field, yeah, they might light it up for another 50. Their defense played well, but they were prone to giving up big plays. And all it takes for those running backs at Union is a space, a half an inch, and Jada can go for 60 or 70 at a blink of an eye. So that's the problem. They give up too many big plays, and it's going to be real, real interesting. You might make me take that trip. I might have to take that trip to Hampton to get that game. But I think Hampton, their offense can run the ball. And so that's going to be the big thing. And the other thing is Zealous didn't play the second half against Morgan, and Mays played better, and he got some wheels. So they're going to have to contain that offense.
So here's a question. How many times did Morgan attempt a pass on Saturday against Hampton?
Oh, shucks.
8.
8.
Yeah, I was going to say. And he was 5 for 8 or 6 for 8.
He was 5 for 8. 8 passes attempted. That means that they went old school CIAA in this game. And all they did was run the ball. Rush for 283 yards on 55 attempts. You just don't see that anymore unless you're like Harding that has like the option offense. Like, I mean, that says a whole lot. That's ball control and time of possession and everything.
They went back to pre-Amir Hall buoy.
Ooh.
They went back to pre-Amir Hall buoy.
Now, there's some things about Morgan, but that's a whole other thing. They use some other things besides, like, they moved them around. And I think the way Parker coaches his offense can get them out of place, and then they give up big plays. That back seven, that front seven gives up too many big plays, man.
Yeah.
Well, Kobe, we didn't plan to have you on here, but I should have anyway, but you hopped on anyway, so we appreciate you. We'll let you hit behind the boards because we got one game to go with. I appreciate everybody that has been rocking with us. Please make sure you guys are hitting the thumbs up. I mean, if you come in the stream, please hit it. It's something really small that goes a long way. We appreciate everybody rocking with us. Yeah. So, come on, man. I'm throwing Union's Stadium under the bus like that, man. You know, it's historic. It's venerable Hovey Field. You respect that, man. You respect that. The 11-time CIAA champions. Respect it. Respect it. All right.
That's the player haters ball. Hate.
Well, he does hate on someone else other than rarely. All right. And lastly, we finish up right down the road from me, a rivalry that both you and I are very familiar with. Winston-Salem State will travel, hit I-40 East, head over to East Greensboro, and bring the flea repellent, and take on North Carolina's A&T for the first time since 2010. Chris, this is again, this is why I don't hate the D1 D2 thing. Obviously, when you and I were in school, this was definitely a game. This game actually goes back. I did a lot of research on it. Actually goes back 80 years. Next month, October 7th, will be 80 years since they played each other. The Aggies were arrogant then. They're arrogant now. They were better funded then. They're better funded now. They thought they were better than us then. They think they're better than us now. Just kind of the way things are. But seriously, this is a series that, in the last 50 years since Bill Hayes came to Winston-Salem State, really became a competitive series, and there's a lot of energy around this game. But Chris, we had a chance to see Winston-Salem State. Well, first off, I had a chance to see, who was it that I saw? I saw Wake Forest. A&T finally found their way back to Winston-Salem. It was the wrong side of town, but they finally found their way back to Winston-Salem, and they put up a 45-13 loss and they were pretty happy about it, I thought. So there's that. We had Winston-Salem State. They went up to Bluefield State, which we all know they are predicted to finish last in the CIAA. A team that they beat 30-0 last year. They did a lot of talking beforehand about what they were going to do. Didn't quite come up with the score that they wanted, but pretty dominant in the game. We do have a clip. Dalen Lee, quarterback, one of his 2 touchdowns that he threw. He was under the weather, so Cole, play that clip, and then we'll talk about this.
Lee steps up, fires deep across the middle, wide open at the 30. It's called a foot race to the end zone and a touchdown. Winston-Salem State, 56 yards. Lee.
Yeah, so that was Dalen Lee. Again, he had a solid game. Not quite 200 yards passing, but he did throw for, and he did get taken out in the second half. But he did show his legs. I know he talked to you guys about that last year, or at media day. He talked to you guys about him wanting to use his legs a little bit more. 43 rushing yards. Chris, what were your thoughts? Yes, it was rent to own. Break it. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Breaking down the Bulldogs. We like when you pick against WSSU. Right now, you're not doing too hot, brother. Yeah, that rent. They need to hit you up for that. But Chris, what were your thoughts about WSSU in this game?
Well, Lee didn't need to pass the 200 yards. He almost got 200 yards total offense with that rushing amount, but he didn't really need to do too much because Bluefield just kept giving them great field position. Like, their special teams was just awful. And so, would I have liked them to have done a little bit more scoring? Absolutely. I think they could have. I think they left some points on the field. Because I think if Winston State had got to like 40, I just really felt like that would have set really good vibes to a lot of and show, that, hey, maybe this team has something now because they're able to put up a lot of points. So I just don't think they did enough, in my opinion, to feel really great in there. And if you're Bluefield State, you just got you got a lot to work on. I was really wondering, where was Isaiah Teal here, because he didn't play in the game, even though he came to media day. So maybe he's got an injury or something. But they have their work cut out for him, because the schedule is not any pretty, especially now they're going to a nearby rival in Concord. So.
Yeah, Chris. So you gave us two doom alerts. North Carolina A&T, they played. I will say this: they did play better on offense than they did the previous year. Better being a relative term, because they were just god awful. But they were able to run the ball, which not surprising. North Carolina A&T, they run the ball. But they were also able to get something out of their passing game. KJ White, he's got another year under his belt. This game, but they're still looking for their second win in 21 months. They got the win against Norfolk State last year. What are you expecting out of this result, and what are you looking to see from this result? Obviously, there's a lot of excitement around it, but what are you looking for to see out of it?
Well, I'm really looking to see. I think Winston State's going to find themselves in some degree of adversity, and how they respond to that is really going to show where this team goes from here. If this is a close game overall, I feel pretty good about it. If it's a blowout because A&T shows a lot of depth early on, then I would like to see how they play in the second half and whether they're able to put up some points there. But I'm just really looking to see, what can Winston-Salem State do against better competition than last week, even if it's just the second half. What can they do there? Because if they do something, I'll feel all right going into the rest of the season. A&T did have a rusher for over 100 yards, 121 yards. That's saying a lot here. And that means that, Winston State's going to have their hands full on defense. And I'm wondering maybe if Dalen Lee needs to run a little bit more, but I'm almost scared to say that, because this is a game where you almost don't want to take those chances either. So, yeah, there's a lot in this game that's going to be, the biggest crowd that Winston's going to face this season.
Yeah, agitating Aggies is one of my favorite pastimes. It may be my favorite pastime. And so, since HBCU Gameday has been around, they have not played each other. That's how long it's been since they played each other. I would love nothing more for them to win this game. But I feel like you, Chris, if I'm honest, I feel like, I want to see a close game, a close effort. I feel like this game kind of gives me a little bit. I think the last time they've been in sort of this position was the 2021 game when they played North Carolina Central. North Carolina Central at that point, they hadn't become the North Carolina Central that they were the last 2 years, where Winston-Salem State literally had no chance. They were a top 25 FCS team. But that first year, they had some injuries, and I saw A&T take a couple L's injury-wise and some heat stuff. So we'll see. Hopefully everybody's okay. But I think, again, if they come into this game and they keep it close and competitive, then I think that bodes well for them. I think they are a more experienced team. I think the last couple of years, I don't think that they're going to be afraid of the talent or anything like that. The last couple of years playing against Central, this A&T team is not better than either of those Central teams. And so I think it'll just be the atmosphere that, they'll have to see what they can get up for. But if they keep it close, then you feel like, then maybe there's some hope for them to really be competitive in the CIAA. I feel like this game could be away. I feel like it could be a blowout. I feel like it could be close. And damn it, I feel like Winston-Salem State could sneak out of Aggie Stadium, BB&T, whatever they're calling it these days, Truist Stadium, with the win. Call me an optimist, damn it. For once, I'll be one. So we'll see. But here we are, end of the road. We've gone for quite a while, so I appreciate everybody. Oh yeah, Lincoln's playing Clarion. They beat them last year. Mr. Neal, because initially I wasn't going to talk about everybody, but yeah, we did kind of get it. Lincoln is playing Clarion. This game last year, was this a win for them or this was a close loss?
No, it was a close loss. Lincoln picked it up in the second half, but it wasn't enough to catch up. So.
Right. So, it'll be interesting for them to get this to go out there and get this non-conference win and to see if they're ready to take that next step up. They won 3 games 2 years ago, 4 games last year. They were very, they seem to be trending in the right direction. Can they, well, there is no more Norfolk now. So can they, I think they were picked to finish 7th. Can they get into that top 5? Will there be a situation where, they knock off this year? This year they knock off one of the 3 Axis powers of the North in Virginia Union, Virginia State, and Bowie State. So it'll be interesting for sure. They also take on Johnson C. Smith as well. Chris, what are your thoughts on this game?
Clarion actually beat Millersville, another team that was on the rise in the PSAC, and so Lincoln's got their hands they got their hands full on the road in this game. They cannot afford a slow start. This is a Thursday night game, so we'd actually have the opportunity to watch this game sooner rather than later. So football starts tomorrow for us. I
might as well throw them in there too. West Virginia's playing Barton. West Virginia State is playing Barton. Wish them a little love, even though they got to come over here to the HBCU side and play some folks at home on the road. Don't be scared. So we've got I got a couple more Massey scores. They think Bluefield State is only a 6.5-point underdog to Concord. Let's see. Winston-Salem State, they have WSSU as a 31.5-point underdog. Not at all. I don't see that. They got Norfolk State as a 7.5-point favorite over Virginia State. And then Hampton and Union, they have Hampton 31-24 over Union. We could see that score, but maybe the other way. We don't know. We'll see. But look, Chris, man, we've gotten through another week. This is week 1/week 2. What are your thoughts? Where are you going? I'll be over in East Greensboro with my fleece spray. Where will you be?
I'll be home this week.
Okay.
There's a lot going on I need to handle. So I'm looking forward to being home. Lots of TV, lots of games to watch, lots to keep up with. So I'll be really working the X handle this weekend.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll tweet you some scores unless you got Flow Sports over at for the CAA games. So yeah. But appreciate everybody for rocking with us. This has been fun. As always, please, guys, make sure you share the content and like the content and continue to represent for D2 football, HBCU style. We definitely appreciate it. For Chris, for Kobe, appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll go ahead and play the outro, and we will see you on the next side. D2's up, D1s down. It's SJG, D2, HBCU football.
Sleep on Livingstone if you want to, and they can really punish you for it.
Fayetteville State, they're never sexy, but they won.
Sometimes we have to eat our crow, and I got to eat my crow this week, okay?
Doom alert. Yeah, we're back at Heartbreak Hotel, and we're checking back in.